Hey, what's up, everybody? It's video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, jumping into the Denver Nuggets roster. As I told you guys, I'm going to try my best to get to every team. And, basically it's just some guy's opinion, or some guy's perspective. That's all this is. I'm not an expert. I don't know if these players that well. I'm just a guy who tries to pay attention to basketball as much as I can and talk about it as much as I can. So that's where I'm at. And Denver Nuggets are the team of this particular video. So this is what we got. The first person we're going to talk about is Nikola Jokic. Obviously, their super duper star, one of the best passers the game probably has ever seen from the center position. Certainly someone who is one of the top two centers in all of basketball. It's between him and Joel Embiid as far as I'm concerned. And right now, Nikola Jokic is coming off an MVP season. He was the most valuable player of the 2020-2021 season. And a lot of that had to do with just injuries for a lot of the other contenders, guys who were up for the award. I think it was one of the closest MVP awards we've seen in years, but ultimately it came down to who could make it through the season. And Jokic was the guy who was the healthiest of the superstars in that situation. Jokic had a phenomenal season and will continue to play as great as he always has going forward. This is somebody who simply makes everyone else better. A very, very gifted three-point shooter, a very great all-around player in general. Someone with a huge body who knows how to use it, not a person who shies away from contact, pretty much automatic from the free throw line, excellent in pick and roll situations, excellent in pretty much any situation. Nikola Jokic is one of the best players in all of basketball, and he has the hardware to show for it. So, next name we're going to mention is Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray has now proven himself in my mind as one of the most lethal weapons in all of basketball. Unfortunately, he's gone down with a very, very bad knee injury and has had to go under the knife to kind of correct it. But he is fresh and pretty much recovery right now. I don't think he's quite where he needs to be yet. I was going to say fresh and ready to go, but that's not accurate. He's going to start the season on the IR for a little bit. I'm not sure how long he's supposed to be out, so I don't want to speculate at all, but he's going to miss a little time. So that's what you're looking at as far as Jamal Murray. But when he gets back, and he will be healthy for this season at some point, he's going to add basically superstardom from the point guard position as it pertains to just automatic and utter scoring ability. He is a lethal killer. He will go toe-to-toe with anyone. We've seen legendary performances out of this guy between him and Donovan Mitchell about 2 years back in the playoffs. Some of the best duo performances, versus performances, a one-on-one type thing that you will ever see in your entire life. Go back and look at some of those highlights between the Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz. Jamal Murray versus Donovan Mitchell, one of the best head-to-head duos in playoff history. Literally, just that. And Jamal Murray was able to win that series. He was able to edge it out. But them boys are scoring 50 like it was 25 in that series. I mean, it was just, it was literally some of the best stuff you ever see. So when I think of Jamal Murray, I think of that, and hopefully he can come back healthy so he can continue on his mission to show the world that he can win. It's not just about doing this in situations that are close to the championship. He wants to get the hardware. This team is capable, I believe, of getting the hardware, and with a healthy him, I think they'll be going after it. Next name we're going to mention is a guy by the name of Michael Porter Jr., a guy who is fantastic as well. Another superstar caliber prospect. He's heading into a different level of stardom, I think, coming up soon. He started his career off very gingerly. He had a serious back injury that required surgery in college, I believe it was, and they brought him along slowly and wisely. He dipped in his draft stock the year that he was. I think that was like 4 years ago. And, it was one of those situations where you understood that he was one of the best players in the draft, and it was just such a heck of an injury risk that teams were passing up on him, understanding that. But it's no surprise to see that he's turned into what we knew he would. It was the concern of whether or not the team that drafted him could get him to this point. But the Denver Nuggets drafted him. They got the perfect situation for him because they were already a deep enough team. They didn't have him needing to come in and produce right away at all at that point. And they've done a good job of just allowing him to not only heal up, but also develop into what he's become. And now he's up to get some big money at the end of the season. He's one of their many expiring contracts. We'll talk about that a little later. But Michael Porter Jr., a power forward, small forward combination type of guy, really fluid type of player, can just score with the best of them, transition, catch and shoot. You name it, this dude just scores. He's one of those Carmelo Anthony-like talents. He's just coming to the league, and you know for damn sure he can light it up and light it up all the time. So if he develops properly, that's kind of how I envision him offensively, just like a Carmelo type. Not necessarily the same type of prototype, but bucket for bucket, this dude can just roll out of bed and get your points like crazy. So as he continues to develop, we'll continue to see me be proven right, in my opinion. I don't see it either. His ceiling is crazy. Put it like that. His ceiling is out of this world. So, yeah, that's yet another player that they have that I think is fantastic. Next name that they got going on here that I'm looking at is Bol Bol. The guy's not in rotation as much as I believe he should. I made a video about this. I think Mike Malone would be probably doing himself a whole lot of favors if he can find himself playing this kid regularly. I would start him, honestly. I don't see much of a reason not to. He's super tall. He has ability to shoot the ball from the 3-point range as well as damn near anybody in his class. And because of his length and height, he can shoot over literally anyone. It's going to require a special body that can actually stay in front of him and effectively contest his 3-point shot. You're not going to get a regular player on him to do that. And because of his skill set, which is basically guard oriented, he's nearly impossible to deal with. As he continues to put on strength and continue to learn the game, he's just continuing to get better and better. And as he gets opportunities in situations like the preseason and summer league and stuff like that, he continues to show you like why he should be getting more of an opportunity than the Denver Nuggets have given him. Now, granted, the Denver Nuggets, just like with Porter, have done a fantastic job of developing players. So I don't doubt that they're doing the right thing by bringing him along slowly. But I just wonder if they're bringing him along a bit too slowly because he has a hell of a lot more ability than what they've shown him, and yet he's still sitting here waiting to get his opportunity. So I'm optimistic that the Denver Nuggets will bring him along this season a bit more so he can start stepping into his own. Obviously, he comes from great stock. His father was Manute Bol, one of the fantastic players from his generation back in the 80s, and that dude could also stretch the floor and was also extraordinarily long and tall. So this kid picks up right where his dad left off, with even better guard ability type stuff, even more handles, obviously more speed as well. Bol Bol is an athlete who can catch lobs at will, block shots with ease, and as he gets stronger, he's just going to continue to get better and better. So, and what makes him unique is the fact that he has guard skills. So you can put him at the 2, you can put him at the 3, you can put him at the 4, you can put him at the 5. So as he develops, I'd imagine he'll keep those skills and his ability to run and keep up with smaller players in a foot race will make it so that he'll be an extraordinary talent from end to end going forward. So conditioning is everything, opportunities are everything, and I think Bol Bol is on the right path at this time. So he's an expiring contract, another one, and I have no doubt that they will bring him back. There is no reason at all to let that particular prospect walk out of your locker room. No, not at all. The next name up is Campazzo, their point guard. Really good facilitator, man. When Murray went down with an injury, this guy stepped in and showed us exactly what he can do. He can give you big assists and he can score. And that's what you want out of him. Very aggressive player. Came along very well in his rookie season, and they're going to have to find a role for him because I think he's a bit better than his role allows him to show. This guy reminds me of a Ricky Rubio type of guy, and with some starting opportunities at some point in time, he's going to be able to make other guys better. When I talk about teams who need a facilitator, a team like the Los Angeles Clippers, so on and so forth, Campazzo is what these teams need. He's just simply a guy who's going to pass the rock to everyone, and he's not going to, be a problem in terms of spacing the floor because he can shoot a little bit. He's an aggressive player. He's going to get to the line, things like that. All the guard stuff that you want to see him do. But his bread and butter is passing the ball. So that's what I like out of him, and he's going to continue to be a big piece on this team, especially while Murray's out. Next guy up, another guy that I like a lot on this team, someone who's been a lifer from Denver, Will Barton. He's a player that's kind of had some injury issues but ultimately is a very, very fantastic two-way role player in this league. As I said, always been with the Denver Nuggets. Has some athleticism, can shoot the ball some. Just a nice slasher, good defensive guy too. Um, his role, because he's been in Denver and they've kind of rendered him only to the role that they've needed him to play, we have never seen him step out of that. We really don't know if his upside is greater than or at the level that we've seen him at. He's just kind of a guy who's always been in one system. So, it's kind of hard to judge what his ceiling would have been. At this point, I say would have because he's already quite out of his development stages, and now it's just kind of like he's a vet at this point. But he's still got a lot left in the tank, I believe, health permitting. So his issues, just health. That's it. When he's out there, he's a good player, and he's going to show you that he can do a lot of things for you, start for you if you need him to. Just one of the more reliable guys in the league when healthy. So I like Will Barton, always have, and Denver does too. That's why he's still there. Next name up, a guy they just picked up. And I'm wondering what kind of role he's going to have, but he's going to be a veteran in this basketball team. His name is Jeff Green. Guy we've seen bounce around a little bit. Played for Brooklyn last year. Played for the Clippers a little bit. Seen him play with LeBron. Seen him play with KD. This is a guy who's been all around playing with some of the best players in the world, being asked to play key roles on championship caliber teams. That's kind of his specialty. When you have a championship caliber team trying to go out there and win something, you need a role player to go get. Small forward, power forward combination, could shoot threes. You're going to call on Jeff Green. He's one of the first names to come up for any and every team that has that mindset. So this is yet another situation like that. He's on a contending team, I believe this is. And Jeff Green is going to contribute as much as they ask him to. They do have a lot of players that can play the position that he plays, but I still think they'll call on him ultimately because all the teams that he goes to do. So that's what I expect. Even though you don't see a role for Jeff Green, you just kind of know he's going to carve one out. And because I expect this team to contend again, he should stay there throughout the season. Now, if for some reason they fall off a cliff or something, you could see him being a guy that ends up getting bought out. But this is not that situation. In my mind, this is the team you go to when you're trying to get bought out. So he's in the right spot. I think he'll play the season out with him if they don't trade him. So it's kind of redundant, right? Anyway, the next name we got on here, we're going to talk about PJ Dozier. This is a really nice young player, man. They got out of Orlando. He played a little bit for the Blue, but when they traded him to Denver, he was really able to show what he can do once again because Murray was out. This was an opportunity for a guy like PJ to get some minutes, and he showed out. Scoring guy, a lot of pop, a lot of ability to shoot the basketball, things of that nature. Just an aggressive guard, somebody who I think has some real upside. And as he continues to get his opportunities again with Murray out starting up this season, his role should still be the same as it was at the end of last season. And if that's the case, expect him to step his scoring average up. This is a scorer, man. This is somebody who can really go. I see his numbers have been pretty good in the passing department as well. So you talk about a guard that you want to see more of, a guy like PJ Dozier. He's somebody I'm very curious to do some homework about and find out exactly what makes him special, because I know for a fact that he's had fantasy basketball value last season, and that says a lot in and of itself. Monte Morris. Monte Morris is a good player, man. Another guy that they have on this team that plays the point guard, shooting guard combination. Mid-range specialist, if I'm not mistaken, somebody who plays some defense. A guy who really does, when he calls it and get his name called, he really does play well. And has continued to play good everywhere he's gone. He's the kind of guy where if you need a shooting guard, and you pick him up, he's going to overachieve quite a bit. I just know that for a fact. I've seen him play well in spurts when Denver's giving him opportunities, but just like a lot of players on this Denver team, they got to sit because they're so deep. This is one of the deepest teams in basketball. So a guy like Monte Morris, if he played for a different situation where he was called upon and needed, he would flourish. I mentioned the Clippers once again. This would be a guy who would play for the Clippers and get a lot of minutes with the Clippers, I think. It's just, this year without a guy like Kawhi Leonard down there, Monte Morris is the real deal. He just hasn't had a chance to get consistent minutes. So, hopefully somehow he can carve out an opportunity to really, really get an opportunity to play in this league, because he helps. Like he complements this roster quite a bit. Just doesn't do much for him. You know what I mean? Like when you're in this particular role, it's just kind of hard to break out. Even the guys, when Murray goes down, you hear me talk about PJ Dozier and Campazzo. Monte Morris plays, but he doesn't get to shine. You see what I'm saying? So maybe that's just my perception from afar. I'm not a Denver fan, but when he does play, he lights it up. So there's no question about his upside. Okay, the next name, they have a couple guys I'm not familiar with. Zeke Naji, not familiar. Marcus Howard, not familiar with. But two more names before we get into their rookie that I'd like to talk about. Austin Rivers, and we know Austin Rivers for sure. He's a guy who can light them up, for sure. Another guard that they have, scoring first guy, another go-to guy if you're a contender. You want to pick a guy up that can score, can instill some life, a chip on his shoulder, still some toughness to your bench. Austin Rivers is one of the guys that I like. Inconsistent for my taste overall, but a specialty guy that you can call on. And when it's a big game, he's coming out, he's lighting you up. He's going to light you up. So we've seen enough from Austin Rivers to know who he is, what he's about. And at this stage of his career, he's just looking to win, to continue his role in this league that he's very comfortable with. So I like him on this team. I think they'll find a role for him as it pertains to him getting regular minutes, but he's a back-of-the-bench guy, unfortunately, because of the depth on this roster. And another guy, of course, is Jermichael Green, power forward, center combination, stretch five kind of guy. Aggressive dude, kind of gotten lost in the fold in terms of what you thought his upside would be from when he was drafted versus to what he's turned into now. He's just kind of stayed in that backup power forward role. I thought when he was with Memphis, he had not an opportunity, but the potential to be a starting five. But he hasn't developed into that necessarily. He's just kind of a guy that kind of comes in for your back, for your center, kind of fills in for your power forward and just plays some good minutes, rebounding and shooting the ball. So that rounds out their roster there, except for the 26th pick in the draft. Basically, what intrigues me about this Denver Nuggets team, besides the superstars at the top, is this guy right here, Bones Highland. Yes. I did not forget about Bones Highland. He's why I wanted to talk about the Denver Nuggets. Bones Highland is that dude. Let me tell you something. West Coast quickly. That's who they got. West Coast quickly. Yes, indeed. He reminds me of many players. But Isaiah Quickly is probably the best combination of all of what I saw in his highlights. I think that he sums it up good. I saw a little De'Aaron Fox in there. I saw a little Jamal Crawford in there. God, this guy looked like a lot of players, man. But he's a light him up dude. You put him in the game, you're down by, say, 11 points. They're sitting there, they're starters. They thinking it's kind of time to relax. You put Bones Highland in the game and you let him go off. He's going to put up a couple 3-point shots and you're going to look up and that score is going to be cut in half. And you're going to feel a lot better. They're going to call a timeout and your team's going to be running and slapping high fives. He's one of those guys. Put Bones in the game, you will be happy you did. I will not be surprised, and I'm saying this early, I will not be surprised if this guy ends up an all-star before his career is over. I would not be surprised if Bones Highland's an all-star because he has that type of confidence. He's not an overly athletic dude, but like those Jamal Crawford dudes, like some of those other guys, he will put you in a spin cycle with his handle, and he will shoot right in your face. 3-point shot, he got it. Driving at the lane, he got it. He's a very, very aggressive player with all the confidence in the world. First step that'll knock you off your shoes. He's not overly aggressive jumping in terms of like leaping. He's not a super leaper like a guy like Edwards or something like that. But for a guy under the rim, like I said, quickly, best way to describe what I saw there. He's just Isaiah Quickly all over again. The NBA messed up letting this guy fall to 26. They messed up. I'm letting you know. Bones Highland should not have fallen that far. Why? Because even though he's slight in stature, he's one of those dudes that goes into Rucker Park or goes to your favorite street spot and lights him up. Goes up against your street ballers and just drops 55 on them. He's one of those guys. He has that type of confidence, that type of motor, that type of mentality, that type of mechanics to where he just step into a shot, boom, let him up, go that way. Come back down, boom, didn't even break a sweat. He's already got 10 points. He's one of those if he develops properly. So I love this player. I like the fact that he's on the back of this bench because he's going to be going up against Murray. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be going against PJ Dozier. So they're going to be players that are going to battle him in practice. And most importantly, a guy like Jokic is going to make it so that he's not going to be looked to make assists happen out there. He don't have to facilitate or be asked to do more than he has to. Be stuck in a Kobe White type of situation where you're asked to do things that you're not supposed to be doing. No. Bones Highland's going to be able to come in and be Bones Highland. Light him up. Jamal Crawford the situation. And, it's that simple. He's an aggressive player on the defensive end. You see him go after stuff. There was a sequence of basketball where he had missed a free throw. Now, mind you, it's like 4 seconds left in the game. This is down the stretch. He missed his own free throw. Another player got the rebound. He snatched the rebound away from that player. He snatched the ball out of the rebounding player and got it back for himself to be fouled again. This is the type of player we're talking about. Someone who's heady, aggressive, confident, never seen a shot he doesn't like, and is liable to shoot your head off. They got another killer, and he's dangerous, man. He's dangerous because you got to understand they already got Murray. Let's just say Murray gets in foul trouble, and you got to deal with this dude coming off the bench. Listen, they got all the pieces necessary to get to the Western Conference Finals. You hear me? You hear me good. They got all the pieces necessary to get to the Western Conference Final. This is one of the best teams in the NBA right now. And in a Western Conference that is not as strong as it used to be, this is a team that can get all the way to the Western Conference Finals to see the Lakers. I really believe that. They're the other squad. I know there are other teams out there that you got to consider, but none of them concern me as much as this team with a healthy Jamal Murray. Because with what they have it all. And if they can work Bol into their equation, particularly get him into that starting lineup, you talk about that type of length and his scoring ability and defense ability with Jokic making passes and being tall, Porter and man, it gets ugly, man. Gordon, did we even talk about Aaron Gordon? Like, Aaron Gordon is on this team as their power forward. I don't think I even mentioned Aaron Gordon, but Aaron Gordon is on this team. Played from the Orlando Magic, high fly act, guy who can drop 50 on your head on a good night. Most of the time he's not doing that, though. He's going to give you more like 15 to 12 points on a regular night. But that's really all he needs to do on this team when they got so many weapons. Play defense, which is what his specialty is. Guard guys that are big, strong, and all that good stuff. Be a threat out in the open court, catch lobs. That's really all you got to do. You got so much talent around you, you're not asked to do a tenth of what you had to do in Orlando. So this is a perfect situation for Aaron Gordon. But this goes on to the next topic about the Denver Nuggets. They have a lot of expiring contracts. Some of those guys are not guys you want to see walk out of that Denver Nugget door, including Aaron Gordon. Now, we already talked about Porter, who's going to be needed to be extended as well. Dozier is one of those guys. Austin Rivers, Bol, Campazzo. Those are your expiring guys. So Denver's got to make some decisions. I don't know who you pay. Yeah, I do. Let me straighten this out. You play Bol, and you pay Porter. And those are the guys you need to prioritize, in my humble opinion. I love PJ Dozier, love Austin Rivers, love Aaron Gordon, love Campazzo. Campazzo should probably be kept as well, just for facilitating purposes. Having a second facilitator is essential. We know that. So Campazzo should be kept. But Bol is a guy, there's no way in hell I'm letting him walk away. And, of course, Michael Porter Jr., you extend him and give him whatever he's supposed to get. Problem is, you can't afford to keep everybody. You already got Murray. He's on file. You maxed him out. Of course, Jokic is going to always be maxed out. That's a super max guy. So, you're going to give Porter likely the max. Where does the money come from to pay a guy like Bol and Campazzo and Gordon? I think unfortunately Denver's going to either let some of these guys walk or have to trade some of them for stuff that isn't people. Because if you're trading away these expiring contracts and you're bringing back salary, that's defeating the purpose, is it not? So what you need to do, unfortunately, and this is devastating, is trade some of these guys for picks. It's devastating, really. I would not want to do. I wouldn't, like, for example, I look at PJ Dozier, and even though we have a lot of guards, the last thing I'm trying to do is let him walk out the door for anything. What do I need to pick for when I have him? He's what I want the pick to be. But because I have so many players already making max contracts and so much depth on this team, that I really run out of money. Just ran out of cap space. So Denver's got an unfortunate situation. I think the window for the team to win a championship is very big. I'm not going to front. But I think they have a great chance of winning a championship with this roster, and I think the lifespan for this roster is probably this year. Some of these guys got to go. In order for them to keep their core together, they can't keep the depth that they have. So that's sad for me. And I wish the NBA could do something about that, because this is a cohesive basketball team with all the weapons it needs. And if they can stay together for a good 4 years, I think they walk out of there with a championship. But because they have these issues, they won't be able to keep these players. So, who do you keep? PJ Dozier, Austin Rivers, Bobo, Campazzo, Porter, Gordon. What do you think? Like, Porter and Gordon obviously are players you don't want to let walk out the door, but you can't keep them both. You're definitely keeping Porter. So that's the end of that. Like I said, Bobo for me, his metrics make it so I'm not letting him walk out. So, yeah, man, that's the Denver situation right there. But even so, the point is, Jokic, Murray, and Porter intact, you're going to be a contender every year. That's the point. But what you love is the fact that they've done a good job of putting players around these guys that make sense. So, as far as I'm concerned, anything less than the Western Conference Finals be a bit of a disappointment. Not a huge disappointment, but a bit of a disappointment. Because this is a real team, and they got it. They got what they need. Mike Malone is a good coach, good players coach. I think he's going to have a hard task on his hand keeping all these players happy. It's a lot of talent, a lot of mouths to feed, but wins will not be hard to come by. That's the good thing. Winning cures all, and if that's true, this is going to be just fine. So that's what I got on the Denver Nuggets, man. I'm super high on them, and that's what I got. My name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.